G'day everyone, it's Michael Partis from Assure Global Plus. For those of you that don't know us, we are your recovery and resolution experts when it comes to cash flow pieces. We help people organise their debts. We actually go reviews, help people get their invoices paid earlier, and we even do things like repossessions of assets when they're needed from time to time. This morning, I'm talking to Jodie Eade, who is a business process specialist. Jodie, welcome.
Hi, Michael. Thanks for having me.
Now, Jodie comes from lots of different background pieces itself. So instead of me trying to cut any of the thunder, I'll get you to introduce yourself, Jodie, so that we can get to know a little bit more about you.
Thank you, Michael, for having me on today. My name is Jodie from Jodie Eade Consulting. I specialise in systems and processes for businesses. My background actually is I am a nurse as well. And how that fits together is nursing is very systems based. So our body has many systems, and they all have to work together really nicely, and so does a business. All facets of business have systems. If they don't work together, big hiccups. Same with the body. My brain works systematically. It's easy for me. So that
Yeah. It's a big thing, isn't it, right? We don't really think about it, especially in a hospital environment or any other nursing environment, right? You're in that position where if things go wrong because processes aren't followed, there are major consequences to life and limb potentially around those pieces. And the same is true with business just generally, isn't it? If you're not running your business according to those processes, or you're running slapdash through those processes, you cause yourself all sorts of grief.
absolutely.
Yeah. So I had a lot of fun when we first sat down to chat about what those things look like and how they serve you. And what really got me going was how passionate you are around why those processes are important, regardless of the size of the business. Can you talk about what you see when you're talking to clients that sort of gets you either very excited or very irritated when you're in there playing with their business processes?
Yeah, absolutely. So I am quite passionate about it. But I think one of the things that is business owners say, oh, I want more money, I want more leads, I want to free up more time. And the very thing that they actually do that sabotages that over and over and over is they have really bad SOPs, so standard operating procedures. Everyone's having a go at doing something, nothing flows. And the other one is they don't focus on their client journey. So if you don't have clients, you don't have a business. And if you're not nurturing and looking after those people, you're wasting money because you've got to keep going and getting more all the time rather than taking really good care of the ones that are there that will just keep coming back and buying from you and telling everyone else about you. They're the two kind of things that are really important in business. Absolute.
100%. And look, I know from our experience when Assure Global Plus goes in to help somebody just even have a look at what their data ledger is doing, they're trying to figure out why people aren't paying them fast enough. We often get caught and say, rightio, how does this work? And then you find out three or four people might be involved in, as you described then, exactly the same process, but they're all doing it in different ways and different hows too, isn't it, right? Because the process isn't just about writing a list and then everyone ticks off their list. It's about actually understanding what those processes are like. And I particularly like the fact that you talk about the client journey because when it comes to getting paid by your clients, and that's obviously the bit that we really specialize in, when you're sitting down and talking to the client about what their experience is, the last part of that experience is how they pay their bill. So especially if you're in a professional services business or you're a subcontractor to a larger business, what their experience of you ends up being is that how did you issue their invoice properly?
Mm-hmm.
And 80% of invoices that aren't paid because they've been issued incorrectly.
Yeah, or they sent to the wrong person, or they sent to the wrong address, or the wrong email, and people think, or they got it twice, which pisses people off. Sorry.
100%. 100%. And then if they had told somebody about it and said, hey, can you do this? Hey, you haven't got my ABN on there. Or if you're doing something for a large firm that's procuring your services, you actually need to get the purchase order number and include it on your invoice that you send them. So nothing irritates a client more than them having to do and be dealing with your clunky process around how you're managing the way you send your invoices out, which leads to them paying more slowly or not paying at all. It's fascinating how many times when we pick up the phone and talk to them and they tell us what the problem is, it's a 2-second fix because they weren't applying an adequate business process into their collections tasks within the business.
And the other side of that too is who owns that? So when multiple people are touching that process, I'm sure you see this a lot too, is like, well, Julie rang me and then Wendy rang me and then Peter rang me, but the problem still exists. It's like one person owns it and that is the person they deal with. And then that relationship can actually often dissolve issues purely and simply because they feel like they're being heard. And Julie might not come back for 2 days, but Julie came back. It wasn't then Peter and Dave, you know.
Yeah, yeah. How often do you find the businesses that you work with that they don't have an understanding of what their client journey is?
I would have to say most of the time. Businesses start, and that's great. You've got to start somewhere, but they start and they just run, and then as they get bigger, every single time growth makes systems more important, and it causes pain, and so they have to grow that system with them. And often the client journey is the last thing they do. They will look at marketing, they will look at SEO, they will look at Facebook ads, they will look at anything that doesn't involve them before they look at the bit that is the part of the system and business that they actually have to run efficiently. And the other part that they don't look at very well is after the client has paid, the nurture sequence. So how do we stay front of mind so that they use us again? Most businesses don't have it, or it's maybe death by newsletter.
Yeah, and that's really important. I can't imagine how many emails that I get a week from suppliers and from clients sending me their newsletters going, they're the most important person that's going to deliver you any news, and their businesses are really important and really valuable. But you're right, they're actually not giving me information that I can use or process at the time it needs to happen. And it's really funny. If I look at what we do at Assure Global Plus, is we're trying to say, hey, we know we're at the end of that client journey to be the first part of that client journey. So you've sold them what they wanted, you've given them the service, you've now sent the invoice out. We're coming in because the two people have stopped talking to each other. So both the invoicer and the client are no longer talking to each other. There's been some communication breakdown there, and we spend a lot of time trying to figure out what that pain point is first, and that's fitting into your client journey piece there. And especially going, right, what do we do to sell to them again? It's pretty hard to sell to them again if we're not talking to them at all, and we don't understand what those processes look like, those business processes look like, to give that the smoothest path available.
Absolutely. And the thing too is with most businesses don't have 1 million clients. You know, maybe they have a really huge business has 10,000, but you know, a normal sized business, if they've got big electrician hypothetically has maybe 1,000 clients that they deal with a year. It's not difficult to make some of that personalized. So say it's specific to a suburb, or say it's specific to a type of job, and with the things that we have available to us these days, it's not an Excel spreadsheet anymore. You can pull reports out of so many different things that you use that says, give me all the people I did aircon quotes for or work for in this last year, and now let's send them a thing that says it's time for our filter clean or whatever, and we'd love to do that for you, and while we're there we'll check your switchboard for free. And people go, oh, I get a thing for free, I'm going to book it. It's not rocket science.
I hope not, because otherwise I'd be in all sorts of trouble. then we're looking at everything like that, and I suppose this comes really down to, I'm interested in exploring a little bit better, how does the communication processes work inside a business to inside that client journey map? So I see things really commonly like they haven't actually included their client details in their bookkeeping system. So they've just got the name in that they're sending the invoice to and none of the contact details, so no one else can take over that responsibility. When they see it's late, they're just pinging them with emails or sending them automatic texts out of the machine, and you can tell which ones have been sent by an automated system and those that have been personalized and touched on. So I'm really interested to see what you notice and how you navigate with clients.
Very much we try and do it personalized. And I think that's one of the things, again, like I said a minute ago, is that it's not that difficult, but it's about when you have your CRM filling in all of the fields, making that something that you do. So it's not Davo, it's Dave Williams, da 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 da. You know, because tradies, there's lots of Davos, so we've got to be careful. But it is having a field that has something that's specific about them. So again, use a tradie example, we installed an aircon, but we noticed that they were going to do such and such, or they've just bought their home. So we put some of those things in the tag process, but we use tags hugely, so that that's a really brilliant way to pull reporting, so that we can keep in touch with people for various different reasons. Software is so advanced and moving so fast these days, it just doesn't have to be costly.
Yeah.
It's just how it's entered, like you said, in the first place. Often it's the missing things that cause the problems. Take the 3 seconds to get all of their data and put all of it in, because it'll save you later.
Yeah. And as your business grows and as it shifts and it changes and you've got more staff coming on board and you've got your rugrats running around annoying the hell out of you when you're trying to do your paperwork, because you haven't been home with them all day. When you start getting all of those bits, so you never actually stop and think about what the impact of those processes might be. So again, as I said, when Assure Global Plus gets into the system, it's really useful for us when we're helping somebody with their whole data ledger to actually understand what type of communication they're having with the client and for what reasons, so that we can have a meaningful discussion with that client to re-engage them back into the business at all. And I just think that what we get to is we get to these points, and collections is one of those dirty words, isn't it? Right? You're never actually going to go out and acquire a client who's not going to pay. That's not what you do. It just happens from time to time, or you just might need some help getting them to encourage them to pay. When they don't understand that whatever processes they create have a much broader impact across their entire system. It might impact how their accountant works. It might impact how their bookkeeper works. We quite often get involved with other suppliers to their business to actually take some of that pressure away from them, so that we can actually have a stronger understanding of what's going on there and give them the coaching that they need, so they need us less often, or they don't get themselves caught in that position again. And I suspect when it comes to most collections matters, it's because they've taken the business process that they thought they had and have veered off from that map, which has caused that breakdown in communication in the first place.
And or the owner is got everything in their head still. So there is things that are in play, but no one actually knows what they're supposed to be. And then the owner saying, everyone comes to me. It's like, well, because it's in your head, and you've not told anyone. And there's nothing more embarrassing for an owner of a business when their guys or their girls go to site to do a job, or be it a financial advisory firm, and the consistency isn't right. There's nothing worse than that. When we talked about forensicing businesses, and I know that's a term that you do talk about quite a lot, and I can actually really relate to that as well, because that is very much, I put on my little miner's hat and I get in there and comb through it, because I am looking for the places where the holes are, where things are getting stuck and there's a bottleneck, whether it is the SOP, the owner, the system, the role of definition. There's all these parts that stop it nicely flowing like a smooth river course. We want that. We don't want turbulence and waves. So yeah, forensics.
Yeah. It comes down to, I suppose, for a question that I have for you then, and it occurred to me just now, really, is I know where Assure Global Plus fits into their equation, right? We know that somebody hasn't paid them, or we're helping them improve the rate at which people pay their invoices. So I know where we sit in terms of what the pain point is, and it's really easy to see. My bank account doesn't have all the money in it I would like it to have. So where do you think people should start? What type of pain point should they identify to go, hey, I need to start working on this here? Because I can imagine that as soon as you start unpacking it, you find all processes within processes within processes, and it becomes really overwhelming when you didn't have time to deal with it already. How do they identify that pain point?
realistically their pain point is similar to yours, is there's no money, the money's not going into my bank account. So one of the first things that, yes, we need to fix that, that's quite a priority. But how do we stop it from happening? Client flow journey. Absolutely. Plot it out. If you can't do it yourself, get somebody else to have the experience of what it's like to deal with your business, from the lead, the email, the welcome, the contract, the this is the payment. Now we're going to engage in the work. This is what I expect. This is what I expect from you. All of the steps, and make it flow, because people fall in love with their product and they can't see where the gaps are. So I was working with a photographer recently who sent me his thing. I had photos taken and he's like, so you've experienced my system. How was it? I went, well, how many times did I call you for stuff? And he's like, no, it's really great. I'm like, it's clearly not, because I called you. You're trying to prevent me from calling you. Here's the things that are not clear. And it won't be just me.
Yeah,
Yeah.
100%. Like, and that is the difficult part is if you're in business, you've got to be loving what you're doing. What I love about what we do is we help people out of those problems, right? We help people deal with the emotional baggage that comes with some type of debt resolution where they have lost control of a set of circumstances. What you're directly suggesting here is that it doesn't matter what part of the journey, client journey is going on, you've got to make sure it doesn't get derailed so that there's a chance for that communication to break down.
It really does need to be very, very streamlined. And as I say, get somebody else to look at it for you if you can't see it, because you won't be able to, because you've looked at it so many times. And also, the other side of things that is really, really important is having reporting ability, so that everything you're doing in your business, whether it's the making sure things are flowing really well or your nurture sequence post, what works. Because if you don't have some way of assessing it, you don't know if anything that you're doing in your business is marketing, SEO, Facebook ads, any of that. You will have no idea if you're not keeping really good recording.
So what we know is that businesses have billions of processes that overlap each other, that impact a whole heap of different parts of their business that they don't realize they impact. And if they haven't worked out, if they need somewhere to start, they should be looking at what that client journey is and trying to figure out what that client journey looks like before they go in and try and create all of these micro processes that then potentially derail what that client journey looks like, because they become too obsessed with their own business and not the person who's receiving the benefit of the work of that business. And from my perspective, that makes my life a hell of a lot easier with people, because they're more comfortable and they've got a better understanding of why that communication may have ended and what help we can apply to start with at Assure Global Plus to deliver those things. If anyone wants to learn anything more about us or about Jodie, you can contact us through our website at assureglobalplus.com.au, and we'd love to get any of your questions or queries. Thanks, Jodie.
Thank you.